This is one of the acute remedy commonly used for various respiratory conditions. This is an Indian remedy. This remedy is not only used in homeopathy, but it's also used in other AYUSH systems of medicine. This has been also used in Ayurveda, Unani and Siddha medicines. This is an excellent remedy for respiratory catarrh. There's a violent sneezing, profuse coryza, which is very acrid in nature, associated with lachrymation. This is not allium cephas, this is not arsal, this is not arsayode, this is not naxomica, this is not pulsatilla. This is also important remedy where the person feels chest tightness, there's a chest constriction, there's no place for him to breathe. This is not cactus, this is not crataegus, this is not arsenical. This is an excellent bronchodilator remedy. It has been found in the studies that this remedy is very equivalent to theophylline in modern systems. So you can think this remedy is used in bronchial asthma or chronic bronchitis, even for the pneumonia. This is also a very important remedy where the person will have loss of smell and loss of taste. You can think the COVID-like symptoms. So this is a remedy which is an Indian remedy which has been called as a Malabar nut. This is also called as an Adusoge. This is also called as an Justicia Adhatoda. Justicia Adhatoda. Adhatoda means the goat will never touch this plant. So this is the plant called Justicia Adhatoda. Justicia Adhatoda. Very interesting name, Adhatoda. That means goats will not touch this plant. Justicia Adhatoda is an Indian remedy which has been commonly used for various respiratory complaints. This remedy is not only used in homeopathy, but it has been also used in Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani medicine from ancient years. There are many common names which is commonly called as a Malabar nut. The Malabar nut because this is a plant which grows in Malabar areas. There are various common names. In Sanskrit, it is called as a Vasaka. In English, it has been called as a Malabar nut. In Hindi, it has been called as an Arusha. In Telugu, it has been called as an Vasa. In Tamil, it has been called as a Adathodai. That means goats will not touch this plant. In Kannada, it has been called as an Adusoge. So like that, there are various common names from the various southern part of India. The names are derived. It belongs to the family called Acanthaceae. It is found in not only in India, it is also found in Nepal and Pakistan. It has been proved by an Indian author, Dr Sarat Chandra Ghosh. Let us see some of the histories related to Justicia Adhatoda. The genus Justicia was first described by Carl Linnaeus in the year 1753, who was a Swedish botanist, zoologist, and a physician who was very famous for his work in taxonomy, the science of identifying, naming, and classifying the organisms. He identified Justicia of 11 species. He is not only identified the species, but very often it has been found in his history. Whatever is identified, he named after some great person who has done work under botany. Similarly, Carl Linnaeus named this Justicia in honor of James Justice, who was a Scottish horticulturist and botanist. That is the reason why this plant has received the name Justicia. In the honor of James Justice, this plant receives the name as Justicia. The word Adhatoda, as we already know, that means goat will not touch this plant. It is called Malabar nut because this is found in the Malabar areas. It is called as Vasaka because of its fragrance. This plant is specially called as an edge plant because it has been not eaten by goat and cattle. It has been planted around the border of a paddy field, a border of plantations to prevent entering of goats. This is in short histories related to Justicia Adhatoda. We can see an image of Justicia Adhatoda in this slide. This is an evergreen shrub with lance-shaped leaves. The plant can grow up to 4 to 6 feet height. The leaves are oppositely arranged with a smooth edged. The trunk has got many long opposite ascending branches. The flowers are usually white to purple in color. The leaves smells like a strong tea and the leaves are bitter in taste. Because of the smell and because of the taste, the goats will never come close to this plant. If at all we look around our garden or around the border of the land or the wasteland, this plant will be found. Justicia Adhatoda plant is a native of Asia. The leaves of the plant contain mainly two major alkaloids called vaccine and vacionin. It also contains one more alkaloid called quinazoline. Vaccine is found to have the bronchodilator property. That is the main reason the Vasaka as an effective remedy for the various respiratory complaints. You can see the image of the plant with flower. Somewhere it looks like a lion head. How the lion head will be there with the long hairs. This plant is also called as a simmamukhi because flowers of this plant which has the shape of lion head. Parts used for preparing the medicine are the leaves, roots, flowers, stem and bark. All the plant part is been used to prepare the medicine. Regarding the recent investigation on vaccine, the alkaloid which present in Justicia Adhatoda leaf, which has the property of bronchodilatory action, which is equivalent to theophylline, which has been used in modern medicine. Theophylline is commonly given as a bronchodilator for asthma or various chronic obstructive lung diseases. A vaccine, not only a bronchodilator, it also exhibits a strong respiratory stimulant activities. It also has got moderate hypotensive activity and cardiac depressant effect. These are the various effects of a vaccine which has been found by the recent studies. Regarding the various research activities conducted on Justicia Adhatoda, it has been reported that the leaves of Justicia Adhatoda has been used as a medicine against bronchitis since 2000 years. The antibacterial activity of the extract was being tested by agar-well diffusion method by Zapta et al. They found that Justicia Adhatoda exhibited a positive antimicrobial activity for Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Staphylococcus aureus, and Bacillus subtilis. The researchers by Zapta et al. They found that Justicia Adhatoda has an excellent result to control the microbial activity. One more study has been conducted in Tamil Nadu. Justicia Adhatoda was assessed by growth inhibition against Echinacea coli, Klebsiella pneumonia, Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Staphylococcus aureus. There are various similar studies which has been supportive that Justicia Adhatoda has an excellent antimicrobial activity. Maybe of E. coli, maybe for Klebsiella pneumonia, maybe for Pseudomonas aeruginosa, maybe for Staphylococcus aureus. These are the various research activities as done for Justicia Adhatoda. As we all know that Justicia Adhatoda is not only medicine used in homeopathic system of medicine, but it's also used in various AYUSH system of medicines. The Ayurvedic physicians of India praises the efficacy and accuracy of Justicia Adhatoda. They called it as a Vaidya Mata, that is, mother of physicians. They confidently proclaim that no death can occur from cough of any kind if Vasaka has been given timely and accurately. The physicians proclaim that patients suffering from cough of any kind would be fit and fine if they are treated with Vasaka. That much assurance is been found in Ayurvedic system of medicine about uses of Vasaka. Traditionally, it has been used for the treatment of various respiratory disorders, including tuberculosis. Let us see some of the keynote indication of Justicia Adhatoda. This is a small drug, we don't have much of the indication. So almost every indication is centered on the respiratory system. The first important keynote indication of Justicia Adhatoda is an excellent remedy for acute catarrh conditions of respiratory tract. Anything which is acute onset or catarrh condition of the respiratory tract. We have got many drugs for acute catarrh condition of respiratory tract. We need to differentiate between arsenical, we need to differentiate between allium cepa, we need to differentiate between ammonium carb, ammonium mure, we need to differentiate between naxomica. All those things will differentiate at the end. A second indication about Justicia Adhatoda is there is a fits of sneezing with lachrymation and loss of smell and taste. There is a frequent fits of sneezing with lachrymation and loss of smell and taste. So this symptom, there is a loss of smell and loss of taste. Present days is very common. People who are predisposed to COVID infection. So for the COVID type of presentation also, asymptomatic COVID presentation also, you can think Justicia Adhatoda, which has got a common symptoms, that sneezing, lachrymation and loss of smell and taste. The third keynote indication of Justicia Adhatoda is regarding the coryza. The coryza is very fluent, acrid, with violent sneezing, coughing, and even to the asthmatic attacks. The symptoms are very clear. The coryza is very profuse, fluent, and the coryza is very acrid, with violent sneezing and coughing and asthmatic attacks. So the remedy which comes very closer, the coryza which is profuse, allium cepa, the coryza which is profuse, arsenical, the coryza which is acrid, which is more of ars iodatum, with violent sneezings like our naxomica, with asthmatic attacks. So we need to differentiate arsal, we need to differentiate arsiode, we need to differentiate allium cepa, all those remedies. And here the presentation is not only the upper respiratory phenomena, even to the lower respiratory symptoms also covered by Justicia Adhatoda. The next indication about the Justicia is cough with tightness of the chest as if the chest would burst. There's a tightness of the chest as if there's no place for the breathing. There's a severe rattling of the chest like our antimtat, like our grindelia. There's an obstruction of breath along with sneezing. These are the few keynote indication of Justicia Adhatoda. Another indication of Justicia Adhatoda is stiffening or trembling and convulsions with cough or fever. So whenever the person gets a fever, there is a stiffness of the extremities, there is a convulsive episodes and trembling, may be associated with cough, may be associated with fever. The remedies with fever, with convulsions, the remedies like belladonna, you need to differentiate. The remedies like Helleborus, you need to differentiate. You need to differentiate Naxomic also. Another indication, as I have said earlier, that traditionally this remedy has been used in the management of tuberculosis by the olden times. So similarly, it has been found that in the first stages of tuberculosis, it would be effective remedy. For the tuberculosis, we have got many drugs like Acalypha indica. We have got remedy called acetic acid. We have got remedies arsiode. We have got remedy pulsatilla. We have got remedy tuboinum. We have got remedy phosphorus. We need to differentiate all those remedies with various presentation. But Justicia Adhatoda also is a remedy for tuberculosis. Justicia Adhatoda is an acute remedy. There is a lack of information about the homeopathic symptomatology in the source books. But let us concentrate more about the respiratory complaints of Justicia Adhatoda. As we all know in the Keynote indication, it's full of congestion. Acute respiratory congestion. The head is hot. The head feels full and heavy. There's a violent sneezing. There's an acute coryza which is very profuse, very fluent, with violent sneezing, the constant sneezing. The severe congestion of entire respiratory tract. There's a congestion of the head, there's a congestion of the eyes, there's a congestion of the nose, there's a congestion of the chest, everywhere congestion. The discharges are almost everywhere profuse. There's a profuse discharge from the nose, there's a profuse discharge from the eyes, there's a expectoration also profuse. There is a coryza with cough, highly effective in the acute catarrhal conditions of the respiratory tract, especially in the beginning stage. There's a loss of smell, there's a loss of taste, the lung feels heavy, the lung feels congested, the lungs feels there's no place to breathe, they're full of constriction like our cactus, there's a hoarseness and the larynx are painful. There is a paroxysms of cough with suffocative obstructive respiration. The cough is in paroxysms with obstructed feeling. Cough associated with sneezing. There's a severe dyspnea with the cough. There's a tightness across the chest. So you can think of in asthmatic attacks. You can think of in chronic bronchitis. You can think of in whooping cough. Cannot tolerate the warmth room. Aggravation in the warm room, aggravation in the closed room. There's a dry cough sometimes with the chest tightness, paroxysms of cough with suffocative feeling. These are the various respiratory manifestation of Justicia Adhatoda. So let us summarize Justicia, especially for acute coryza, violent sneezing, profuse coryza, with a cough, with suffocating attack, with a loss of smell, loss of taste, aggravation in the closed room, chest feels constricted, chest feels caged, person feels there is no place for breathing, there is a suffocative attacks. Typically you can think of in clinical conditions like allergic rhinitis, allergic bronchitis, you can think of in bronchial asthma, you can think of chronic obstructive lung diseases, you can also think in clinical condition like tuberculosis. Let us see some more extra information of Justicia Adhatoda and how to differentiate this remedy from bryonia, from arsenical, from pulsatilla. Justicia Adhatoda person is basically very anxious person who is very similar to our arsenical. The person is very anxious, the person is so much low spirited, the person who doesn't want to talk to anyone. The close coming remedy is arsenical, the person is very anxious. The person will have full of burning in the forehead. There is a burning all over the body, especially over the chest and the forehead. Again, we need to differentiate burning about arsenical, burning about sulfur, burning about phosphorus. Here the burning may not be so much intensified or qualified like arsenical, but the person will also have a burning of the forehead and full of hot feeling, full of feverish feeling associated with chilliness. The person will also have a dryness of the mouth. There's a dryness of the tongue, which is very similar to Bryonia alba. Here the dryness with excessive thirst for cold water. In Bryonia alba, we all know that the person will have a thirst for large quantity of water. Here the thirst, excessive thirst for cold water. Whereas in arsenical, we know that the thirst for sips of water. Whereas pulsatilla is generally a thirstless. One more similar feature to Bryonia, the Justicia patient also constipated. Cough with constipation, the remedy is Bryonia. There's a complete dryness, which is again similar to Bryonia. Here, differentiating feature of Bryonia and Justicia, here the cough with trembling of the body, the cough with the trembling of the extremities, the coughing with the trembling of the entire body. Whereas we all know that Bryonia, while coughing, person will hold the chest. Slightest movement is aggravation in Bryonia. Here, cough associated with trembling, whereas in Bryonia, that cough with slight movement is aggravation. And again, the expectoration, which is very similar to Bryonia and pulsatilla. The expectoration is yellowish in color. Expectoration is also rusty sputum, which is a common feature of pneumonia. Here, the cough with dryness of the mouth, dryness of the tongue, with excessive thirst, expectoration yellowish in color, aggravation lying on the left side of the body. In Bryonia, better by pressure. Associated with cough, associated with trembling, the person will also feel chilliness, especially chilliness with night sweat, which is a feature we see in pulsatilla, which is also seen in arsenic iodatum. So this is in short, you can differentiate arsenical, Bryonia, pulsatilla. The burning of arsenical we can see, the dryness of Bryonia you can see, constipation of Bryonia you can see, thirst of Bryonia you can see. All those close coming remedies you can differentiate based on the other concomitant features.